And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is Monday, February 23rd, 2026. And right up front, if you are in the crosshairs of that blizzard, stay safe. I gather it's moved out by now, except for like Boston and areas, but I think New York City may have gotten the worst. I got the hell out of New York City Saturday afternoon because I'm smart. Anyway, good luck. Don't be driving. Be smart. Risk capital, risk management, very important. Speaking of that, we really hope you have listened. No, really. You know, we never know outcome. When we call a top or a bottom in the market, when we say to avoid this sector or that sector or this area or that area, we never know the final outcome. We don't know how long something lasts, how far it goes. We just know direction. And we'll get into some areas that just continue to crash. Using the word crash actually fits on what we are seeing in the areas we have told you to avoid. And the names. For the record, we're stunned. We're stunned at some of the moves. And we'll get into it in a minute. This is Investor's Edge, serious talk on everything that affects you. We'll do the markets and its movements. The economy, your job, your industry, tariffs, unfortunately. And everything that comes out of Washington, D.C., which is nightmarish right now. We'll post the radio show at GaryK.com. Also at our Twitter feed or X feed. If you don't follow us on X, you should. Just put our name in. And if you'd like to email us, just be nice. It'll also be on the YouTube channel, BizTV. We're always careful with our words. As we have told you, we don't care who. We care about what. We don't care if there's an R or a D running the country. We don't care if it's the Whig Party. We want good policy. We don't want liars. We don't like cheaters and thieves. We don't like utter stupidity. And there's a hell of a lot of that to go around. So we're going to do just a couple of minutes. I take that back. A few on the latest. And then what the hell is a COBOL? COBOL. We'll get into that too. And why. So, the Supreme Court came in and said some things and stated some things and voted something 6-3 on tariffs. The president, who in plain sight is influenced by foreign things and foreign money, said that the Supreme Court is influenced by foreign things and foreign people. He's full of crap. since last January, he's been telling us the tariffs are paid by the other countries, not us. And he keeps lying back and forth, unfortunately. Back and forth lies. Unfortunately. One day he says the money's coming in from elsewhere. The next day he says I paid the farmers because of the tariffs. Another day he says it comes from elsewhere. The next day he says the businesses, the refunds. You know what I always told you about lies? You have to create another lie to cover your lie. The next part of lying is if you get a reputation of lying, nobody's going to believe a word you say. So I have told you, I have to verify everything. He's also said it's all about trade deals, yet with Switzerland, he says, we're putting a tariff on them because I had a bad phone call with the head of Switzerland. That has nothing to do with trade deals. And once this comes out, he puts a 10% global tariff on everything. Now he changes it to 15%. I don't know if there's a cause and effect to today's action in the market. I really don't. Because I do believe there's other things at hand. But let me state for the record, I don't think he has a clue about tariffs. I don't know if you know, but he said that our trade deficit dropped 78%. No, our trade deficit is up over the last year. So I guess he picked out a month. He tells us the deficit's down. It's going to be $2 trillion. He says we're in the golden age and the greatest economy ever, and we just come out with 1.4%. But he then blames it on the government shutdown, even though the prediction was 3%, including the government shutdown. The manufacturing numbers are terrible, even though he said the manufacturing is coming back. And I can go on and on and on. It's just so damn disappointing. He is not a free market conservative. He is an interventionist. It's everything I don't want. And all this talk, well, I'm cutting taxes for tips and this and that, terrific. But he's raising taxes via tariffs, so what good is it? I'm very disappointed. I wish I had his ear, but I think he would tell me the you-know-what myself if I said all these things to him. Sir, Mr. President, you had a win by them saying no tariffs, and you didn't take it. You say you're for low taxes, and of course the Treasury Secretary doesn't help either because he's got to toe the line, and he's all over the place in his interviews. You ask him a specific question, all over the place. What can I tell you? I wish I could tell you different. So the Dow was down 822 today. And again, I don't know if there's a cause and effect for that. The NASDAQ 258, the NASDAQ 100 303, the transports 564. Advanced declines were terrible. Up-down volume was terrible. But I have to tell you, there's one side of the artificial intelligence that refuses to buckle. The semiconductors are only down 46 points today. Electronic things like FN was up 30, SanDisk was up 17. Green today was LITE, Corning, Ciena, Coherent, Vertiv, which is data centers. So that area is strong, hasn't budged. You had a few that got knocked a little bit today in that area, but for the most part, really has not budged. And amazingly so, may I state for the record. I'll go with that for starters. Symbol BE up 12 today. Not a lot of damage in what we call the construction and the energy area for artificial intelligence and data storage and data centers. Western Digital down a measly 4, Seagate down a measly 5, Taiwan Semi was flat. So just letting you know, it's still that area. Up next, we'll expound on that, but then the big avoids. That's all up next on Investor's Edge. All right. So gold and silver had a good day. Silver looks like it's turned up finally. Gold miners are almost back to the highs. Strong day for the defense stocks, defensive, food, drug, beverage, tobacco, household products. Eli Lilly had some news, is up 50. That means it'll probably be down 50 tomorrow. It's a crazy stock. Oils, mixed. But the big story is in what ain't. And again, we said at the outset, boy, we hope you listened. And we mean that. And as we said, we never know, never ever know how bad something's going to get. So let me start out with software. They crumbled it again today. They broke a bear flag in the ETFs. Well, let me just say Microsoft was down another 12 and change. Oracle was down 6 and change. Salesforce.com 7 and change. Adobe 11 and change. SAP 6. But what was real interesting, on Friday, there's something called Claude. CLAUDE. And I'm going to just put up what is Claude. And it's going to come up. A family of advanced high-performance large language models and AI assistants developed by Anthropic. That's what it is. I'm also next going to go Claude and software security. Anthropic rolls out autonomous vulnerability hunting AI tools. On Friday, and I'm using CrowdStrike because most people know that. On Friday, CrowdStrike opened up at 431 and closed at 388. This morning, the CEO comes out and says we're not affected. It dropped another $38 to 350. In 2 days, 432 to 350. As we have told you, avoid software stocks. They're in a bear market of unknown price and time. They crumbled again today. It wasn't just CrowdStrike. Other software security, Zscaler. That's gone from 172 to 143 since Friday, and it's down from 337. By the way, CrowdStrike is down from 566 to 350. I already mentioned Microsoft, the others. I just letting you know, we're stunned, we're surprised, we're amazed. They are stretched, extended, oversold. Unfortunately, all the pundits and analysts still say, oh, you got to own them. But we're just letting you know it is a brutal, 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 brutal bear market for software. And they continue to be a void, notwithstanding bounces that can happen at any time. I can tell you all the bounces have been short-lived, low volume, and anemic. The sell-offs have been much harder, and that's all I can state. That's it. I wish that was all I can tell you, because then I'm going to ask the question, what the hell is COBOL? I'm putting that up. COBOL stands for Common Business Oriented Language. It's a high-level English-like programming language created in 1959 for business, finance, and administrative data processing. It is renowned for its verbosity, readability, and reliability, processing massive amounts of transactions on mainframe systems, notes Netcom Learning, and IBM. Despite decades old, it remains critical in banking, insurance, and government sectors. COBOL. I didn't know what it was until today. At all. Well, let me read something to you. Claude. News. You remember Claude? Can automate COBOL modernization. Are you ready? On that news, IBM dropped $34 to $223 today. I'm rounding off. 13% on almost, about 4 times average volume. IBM in the Dow. Now IBM on top of software crashing. IBM on COBOL. We've already had insurance meltdown because what supposedly AI. We've had the brokerage stocks meltdown, and by the way, today, Ameriprise 18, LPL Financial 15, Raymond James 5, Stifel 7, Schwab a couple percent. Their meltdown. You know about the truckers that got hit hard, bouncing pretty good, but they had a rough day. And then part of this software thing is supposedly all the lending companies, private equity, buyout shops. They're crashing also. Crashing in this market. Blackstone's gone from 190 to 113. Apollo's gone from 153 to 113 in 5 weeks. TPG, Texas Pacific Group, 70 to 42. How about that Blue Owl they talk about a lot, 21 to 10. How about ARES, ARES, 180 to 114. How about KKR into almost new yearly lows? It just went from 145 to 92. And by the way, that's not the yearly high 145. How about Evercore, which was holding up strong, 388 to 305. And what we're being told is they're kind of tied to the software. I don't know. All I can tell you, they remain avoids. The software remain avoids. The brokers remain avoids. I ain't touching them truckers. The insurance remain avoids. The private equity avoids. Up next, I got some others. This is the one only Investor's Edge. So when we tell you, or we ask the question, geez, what's next? Our answer is we don't have a frickin' clue. Today, by the way, IBM has already been weak. And IBM, we were already worried a little bit about AI because a week ago it dropped from 285 to 259 in 2 days. Well, now it's 223, down 34 today. It has now dropped in 3 weeks, 320 to 223. This is IBM. So we can safely tell you we don't know where it bubbles up next, but we're going to stay on our toes. It's a holy crap moment in the markets. On the one side, You have semiconductor equipments, semiconductor memory chips, and artificial intelligence chips, optical crap, electronics, this, that, and the other thing, parts and cables, memory, storage, data centers that are just strong as all hell. And even today, they ramped into the close because I got to tell you, the NASDAQ with let me get this right. The NASDAQ at 358, well, it rallied 40 points in the last minute. It was down 300 and finished down 259. And you know what they bought up? The semis. The stocks. Just so you know, in the last 2 minutes, it went up 30 points. That area. It's narrowing, but that area. And of course, the other two areas are the energy / construction for supposedly all this money that's going to be spent on the data centers. But the rest of these areas, they're just melting down. It's the only way to put it. I don't need to walk. Well, Microsoft, 555 to 384. Oracle, 345 to 141. SAP, 313 to 196. Adobe, I'm afraid to look at that one. 700 to 246. So we're just letting you know, but I'm kind of not done. American Express was down $25 today. Don't tell me artificial intelligence are going to affect them. MasterCard was down $30 today. Visa was down 14. So let's see. American Express down 7%. MasterCard down almost 6. Visa down 4.5. Capital One down 9. The credit card companies, they have been avoids, and they go deeper into their bear phase. And by the way, I think they're all 20% plus now. But I'm not done. They're hitting the big banks today. Goldman for 30. 3.25%, break the 50-day. JP Morgan, 4.25%, broke the 50-day 2 weeks ago and is now a little bit below the long-term 200-day. Morgan Stanley, 5% today. That's a big top. Bank of New York been strong. That's broken the 50-day. Citigroup broke the 50-day. Bank America, worse than that. Wells Fargo, worse than that. But I'm not done. They were hitting the regional banks today, and I got news for you. They were acting kind of fine. And I got a few of them regional banks breaking support levels today off the highs. Wait a minute. Brokerage stocks, lenders, credit cards, private equity companies, investment managers. The European banks have topped. The big banks are below the 50-day. If you look at these ETFs, the KBE, the S&P Bank Select breaks the 50-day today. That's one. The KBWB really breaks. That's the NASDAQ Bank Index. The BKX, which is the banking NASDAQ bank, completely breaks. The XLF, which is financials, below everything. And I believe because that includes some of this other stuff that has been squashed. And then the regional banks, the KRE, all the way down, testing that all-important 50-day. The financials. I have no idea what tomorrow brings. Maybe they bounce, maybe they don't, maybe they head lower. I'm just letting you know these bearish phases for these areas deepen today. And until I say otherwise, bounces are just that. But I'm not done. They clipped the crypto again today. You're welcome. And as I said, the software breaking below bear flags today, the Bitcoin and the Ethereum look ready to do it again also. Not sure yet, hasn't done it yet, but certainly set up to do it. And Coinbase, you're welcome, 444 down to 160, and that MicroStrategy, 457 to 123 and change. While the CEO goes on TV and is nonplussed. While Miss Wonderful, you know who, goes on TV and says, I expect 1.5 million on Bitcoin by 2030. That woman is so lucky I'm not on TV with her. And as you know, she's the only one we bring up. We don't take on anybody in this industry. It's tough enough. So, rough day. I don't know the cause and effect of the tariffs. I hate, I loathe, I hate and loathe not being able to compliment the hell out of our leaders. But they have earned the ire. And it's tiresome and it's exhausting to continue to listen to bullcrap day after day after day about higher taxes, tariffs, and then claiming the Supreme Court has foreign influences when everything you have done as president has earned your family billions because of foreign influences. And that's not opinion. That's being reported everywhere. Wish I had better news. They hit some of the apparel today. Ralph Lauren down 20, other retail down. Maybe that's tariff also. I'm not sure. I'm really not. And I don't know what's next, but now the president's threatening all these countries. If you dare, he's threatening leaders of other countries. If you dare, by the way, there hardly have been any trade deals cut. It's all been frameworks. So Europe came out and said, we ain't doing anything. We're not signing anything until we figure out what the hell's going on, which is their right. And he threatens them. It's sheer insanity, ladies and gentlemen. It's sheer insanity. I should be running this country now. But that's not going to happen. Hey, up next, let's accentuate some positives. That's up next on Investor's Edge. Ladies and gentlemen, I could not have been more impressed. Not about the winning at the Olympics, but by the amazing sportsmanship out of the many. Let me start with the young lady, Alyssa Liu, who won the gold medal in ice skating. She won the gold medal. Terrific. Fabulous. It's not what I want to talk about. Her interviews, fabulous. But something I saw, she was sitting in the spot she's supposed to sit as the leader going into the last skater, who sat down about 15 to 20 feet away from her with her coach. And when the last skater's scores came up, it put her in third place and gave her a bronze. Alyssa Liu stood up, raised her hands. That was it. She looked at the young lady from Japan. I believe she was a first-timer. And I guess they knew each other. And because of the bronze, she started clapping, ran over to her, and they hugged each other, which seems like a few minutes. And you can tell they knew each other, and you can also tell how happy she was for the other young lady. I thought it was fantastic. Sportsmanship. And then you had the woman who was 13th in the prelims and then did a great job and ended up 5th. Last name Glenn, the blonde. The other Japanese girl who came in 2nd, that it was her last time at an Olympics and was seen crying. And a couple of cameramen put the cameras in her face while she was crying. What did this other young lady do? She went over, blocked them, and protected her. These are their competitors. And they treated them like family. And I guess it is a family that they maybe tour together and all that and are friendly. I loved it. What a great teachable moment for your sons and daughters to go watch. I thought it was magnificent. I was thrilled. I was applauding that. Not that an American won the gold. I was applauding the sportsmanship. And then there was the hockey. The joy. Did you see the joy of winning? But also just playing the game. Did you see the guy who's got his teeth knocked out, who scored the winning goal? And his interviews? Class act. Praised Canada. While unfortunately a couple of people out of Canada were complaining about how they do overtimes, which, by the way, I agree with, but you don't whine once you lose. I was just so impressed by our young men and women on all that. Nothing but praise. Boy, if I ever meet them, dinner on me, give them a big handshake and a big hug. Fantastic. One more. Do you know who Johannes Kaltbaum is? I bet you don't. He won 6 gold medals in this winter game. The most ever. I believe Eric Heiden once won 5 for speed skating. You know what he does? Cross-country skiing. The last race was 31 miles cross-country skiing. You ever try that? What a freaking athlete. I loved it. And they did a story that his mentor is his 83-year-old grandfather. who was also a great athlete, and the respect he had for his grandfather. I loved it. I thought the athletes, class acts, interviews terrific. Mike Tirico, who was hosting, gets an A+++++. Boy, was he on his game. Savannah Guthrie from NBC Today was supposed to be a part of it, but as you, of course you know, her mom is still missing. Let's hope that gets fixed up or they find her. But I will tell you, I thought that was magnificent Olympics. Win or lose, I thought it was just, we got some great young people that are going to do a lot of great things, ladies and gentlemen. And go watch some of the video I was telling you about when Alyssa Liu won and she ran over to the girl who got the bronze. That's my take on that. So some positive news. You all have a great evening. Drive carefully. Hopefully better day tomorrow. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family and children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Much appreciation that you listen. Take care. Bye-bye.